Remember, when making those small little decisions, when it comes to working with your orchids, they have big repercussions in the end. So think about everything carefully first. As your orchid collection grows, so does the amount of space you need to keep them in. And we all know we've got limited space available. So let's go through an amazing space-saving tip that's going to help show your orchids off to their show-stopping potential. So welcome to the Nature Company. If this is the kind of information you're interested in, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and that notification bell to be notified of all our upcoming content so you don't miss out on a thing. So we're going to be planting our orchids up into these great big terracotta pots, and I don't want them to go green and mossy. So these I'm going to be painting up with sodium silicate, also known as water glass in some places. And all it's going to be doing is sealing the inside and the outside. It's probably the least toxic of substances you can use to do this. It is alkali, so it is going to irritate the skin if you get it on the skin, and your eyes if you get into your eyes. So just be careful, use protective gear if you can, or just be really careful using it. All you're going to be doing is painting it on gently. A thin layer like this in the sun, out in the windy conditions like this, a layer like we're going to be putting on out in the open in the full sun, should dry and be cure within about 30 minutes, and then you'll be able to use your pot immediately. So this is going to be the easiest way to save space. All we're going to do is we're going to lump 3 orchids into one pot. Voila, so easy. But what we need to do is we need to choose ones with the same amount of vigor. We don't want to mix something that's going to be this sort of size and with this sort of vigor in with something like this, because our roots on this are just going to overcome those, and they might slowly go backwards. So we want to put plants that have the same amount of vigor in all together, so that we know that they all have a fighting chance. Preferably the same sort of height. The smaller ones obviously again are going to be covered and drowned by root volume, that they're not going to be able to fight for survival. So choosing your plants is always an important part of this. And of course the right size pot that's going to be big enough to hold all that root volume and still give them all space to thrive. When planting up things like mokaras that we're going to be doing today, we've got to make sure that the pot is heavy enough and sturdy enough that as your plant grows, it's not just going to be blown over in the wind. Especially in an area like we have that's out here in the full open. If it's a more sheltered spot, then just the pot itself is generally enough. But here, we're going to have to add some rocks into the base of the pot. Nice large size rocks, so it's filling up some space and allowing for lots of air movement, and that's going to give some real weight to the base to stop the plants being easily blown over. And now with these mokaras, we're going to generally take the largest one first, remove it from its media, remove the old rotten root system, okay. And remember always to try and orientate the front of your plant to the direction that you want to face it in. Here we can see the nice loose bark media that we use. These bark's still in relatively good condition, so we can just use that straight in. Because we're wanting all those big air gaps. making sure we set the plants in deep enough, but not too deep. And there we go. So all we got to do is now get some more of that large bark chunks that we like to plant these in, and just carefully push them in and around. With these mokaras, we don't have to be terribly worried that there's those big air gaps in between the roots, because we want that actually to be there. So we're just using the bark basically to shore up the plants so that they're holding in the right position so that their roots can reset in. So you'll find their cultural requirements are almost identical to that of vandas, except I do find my mokaras are more prone to root rot. So with that in mind, allow for that fast drainage and that good aeration they need to keep them safe. Always remember to use a well aerated, well drained media. I generally like to stick with the large bark chunks, but anything like broken bricks, lava rock, charcoal are all good media to use as well. And also an important thing to understand is every action you take in doing a project like this, there are consequences. We sealed this pot. It's a terracotta pot, but we sealed it, so there's no longer going to be evaporation coming out of the pot. So the media that we put in now has to be even better well drained. So those air gaps are going to be the perfect thing to help make sure that there's not too much moisture being held in this media as to rot the roots. So whenever you're doing something, think about what you're doing carefully, understand what the consequences of each step that you take, so that you can make sure that you're still providing the correct environment for your orchid to thrive. From one big mess to one beautiful outcome. So now that I've saved 2 pots worth of space, I guess I can buy another 6 orchids. Remember, when making those small little decisions, when it comes to working with your orchids, they have big repercussions in the end. So think about everything carefully first, understand what's going to happen to your plant under those specific situations, and then counteract your decisions with other options that you have available to you, so you can make sure you provide the correct environment for your plants to thrive. If you find this information helpful at all, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button down below, and that notification bell, bing bong, to be notified of all our upcoming content. Help us grow as we help your orchids grow.